Protect mental health, be a self-starter. Series 2, Be the master of our brain health. Episode 5, Our Ever-Developing Brains. What is an ever-developing brain? Ever-developing is an ability that our brains are gifted with to keep learning and growing across the life course. Empirical evidence from the latest neuroscience research has identified some major determinants that pose threats to our brain health. This episode aims to explore how we can create optimal conditions for our brains to flourish and excel as a conscious process of self-evolution. Lose at the starting line. According to the World Health Organization position paper, Optimizing Brain Health Across the Life Course, 2022, adverse childhood experiences have intergenerational impacts on the development of brain architecture. For example, studies have found lower brain volumes and changes in neural connectivity involving the amygdala, fear center, in infants of mothers who experienced abuse or emotional neglect by their own caregivers. Prolonged exposure in a toxic, stressful environment will lead to the changes in our brain architecture in many aspects. For instance, the brain regions responsible for adjusting our body's response to stress will be changed, with overactivation of the amygdala, hypothalamus, and pituitary gland, and an increase in vulnerability of the cortex of the prefrontal lobe and the anterior cingulate gyrus. It also has lifelong implications for a person's vulnerability to stress-related physical and mental conditions. Having said that, recent neurological research brings us good news. Although brain circuits are inherited in genes, they are not fixed and unchangeable. If we keep practicing and studying, we can change and unleash the potential of our brains. How can we create optimal conditions for the ongoing development of our brains? Self-awareness of intergenerational complex. Kids are particularly vulnerable if their parents or caregivers have difficulty in developing bonding to and creating healthy emotional attachments with them. Their relationships with parents or caregivers may be enmeshed. Unconsciously, those kids may have learned ineffective ways of expressing their emotional needs and responding to others in interaction. To rectify the situation, we need to learn how to build effective feedback loops ourselves and unlearn ineffective ways of managing life difficulties that are passed down to us. Develop effective feedback loops. First, let's stay aware of our inherent emotional state and reflect on ways to deal with stress. This helps us understand our long-repressed emotional needs and become motivated to unlearn those ineffective ways of managing life crises. With an effective feedback loop in place, we can reset our brain circuits. For example, abusive words and actions can stimulate the brain regions where we process emotions, and the fight-or-flight defense mechanism is quickly activated that prevents us from thinking properly. Therefore, in the face of abusive words and deeds, let's pause and breathe so as not to react impulsively. The more we practice, the more we can change the habitual way of thinking and responding. Second, let's stay open to positive and thought-provoking feedback. I shared the study experiences in my early years in episode 2. My teachers often questioned me if I had a brain. When I felt threatened, I could not think clearly. On the contrary, constructive quality feedback has the calming effect of bringing our brains to a state of equilibrium. Finally, we need to develop the ability of self-reflection. When we protect ourselves with space to reflect, we are likely to discover deeper meaning and understanding of our thoughts and feelings. By allowing ourselves to consider from different perspectives and think out of the box, we are creating conditions for ourselves to engage in the conscious process of self-evolution. Cultivating conscious mindset. To live a life with purpose, let's cultivate a conscious mindset of healthy living by being active in mind and body, nurturing equanimity, and sensing. Being active requires us to challenge our habitual ways of thinking and doing, to do regular exercise, and to put thoughts into action. For example, we could still engage in mental rehearsal if we were prevented from going out to practice an instrument due to home quarantine under COVID-19. Studies have shown that mental rehearsal in practicing an instrument brings the similar stimuli on the relevant brain regions to develop. Nurturing equanimity means that we offer ourselves space to relax and do stress reduction activities such as breathing exercises, yoga, or mindful walking. Sensing is to allow ourselves to feel or experience, such as the signals sent from our bodies. When we are open to our sensations, be somatic or visceral, and share thoughts and feelings with trusted friends, the act of connecting with self and others is a determinant of brain health. Qualitative change matters. Qualitative change in the ways of thinking and doing is gradual and subtle. The three approaches of living, staying active, nurturing equanimity, and sensing can appear mundane. With continual practice to infuse them into our everyday life, our brains will gain prominence and come closer to fulfilling their capacity. There was a Chinese commercial song in the 70s that touched me. As small as a drop of water, which merges into a vast ocean. As fine as a grain of sand, which gathers in all directions of the earth. A small amount can make a lot. Let's rewrite our starting line. Summary. No matter where our starting line is, when we continue to learn and create effective feedback loops for personal growth, we can break the spell of intergenerational complex and live a better life. With perseverance in cultivating a conscious mindset and becoming the master of our brains, we are creating optimal conditions for our brains to unleash their unlimited potential. Author, Dr. S.P. Chan, Doctor of Psychotherapy and Counselling, University of Edinburgh, UK. Master of Mental Health, the Chinese University of Hong Kong. Master of Psychiatry, Cardiff University, UK. February 24, 2023.